Hi everyone, wanted to capture this insight that came to me. So art, actually let me tell this by an example of Roger Federer. These days he's not that much in news because he's not able to win and he's almost about to retire. Nadal is more famous, but Federer, when he was at its at his peak, considered to be the greatest of all time, people used to say that he is almost, he floats in the court. He is so efficient and he's almost, his movement is like that of an artist, like that of Mozart, something like that. So these kind of similes, analogies were used for Federer. So in this context, and we also know that Federer is technically or must be technically very, very good. So then the question is, what is the relation between art and technique? On one side, we also think of him as an artist of tennis, but we also know that he's a professional and one of the greatest of all times, record holders, right? So he must be very good in technique. So are these the same things? Or is there some difference between art, being an artist, and being a technician or being technically perfect? So this reconciliation came to my mind. About what is the connection between art and technique? Now, to get this connection clearly, just think of a robot. What is the difference between the movement of a robot and a movement of a human being? When we see these two, a human being and a robot, by the way they move, we can immediately figure out that this is a robot and this is a human being. Even if the robot can come like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like the Terminator, in human skin, human appearance, we'll be able to figure out. Maybe in future that difference will cease to exist. I don't know, but right now we can figure out whether it's a robot or a human being. Why? Because robotic movements are discontinuous. There are jerks. There is discontinuity in the movement of a robot. But when a human being moves, because all the muscles and small nerves and cells of the body and tendons and flesh, etc., all the components of the biology of the body anatomy, they move in a continuous manner. So therefore, the movement is very, very different. Robot moves discontinuously. Human beings move in a continuous manner. So this is why I brought these terms continuous. I hope the point continuous is clear. And now differentiable, what this is a mathematical term, right? Those who have studied calculus, differentiable and continuous function. By differentiable, simply in layman terms, it means that there should be smoothness of movement. There should not be a sudden jerk in the movement. There should be smoothness. So we know that there is smoothness in the movement of a human being, but there is not smoothness in the movement of a robot. Now, my insight here is that technique is the right thing, right? Because technique is the way of doing something optimally, right? Less effort, a minimal effort, and maximum output. That is what technique gives you. So, whoever is playing tennis, there are ways to hit a shot. For example, a forehand. There is a way to hit that, and one of the techniques of getting more power per unit of effort is kinetic chain. This is one of the principles, one of the science behind getting more power, kinetic chain. Now, where does this technique become art? This is where my insight comes into play, is that when you apply that technique within your shot in a differentiable and continuous manner, then it looks like art. It simply means that, just imagine when Federer is hitting a forehand shot, first his legs will have to move, then his hips, then his torso, then his elbow, shoulders, or then his elbow, then his forearm, and then his wrist, and then his hand, the fingers of the hand. So it's almost like there is a sequence of activities which will need to happen for the motion to go to his through his fingers of the hand to the racket, right? Starting from the leg, and now I have only given these 4 or 5 crude body parts, right? These are big body parts, but within a body there are so many elements, right? So many cells are there, and then nerves are there, and veins are there, arteries and muscles and bones. It's a continuous, it's a very complex body that human beings have. So this can easily, if an artist will play a modern forehand shot with continuity. From one body part, the transition to the next body part, or from one cell to the next cell in the sequence, will happen in a very differentiable and continuous manner, meaning in a very smooth manner and a non-jerky manner. Whoever can do that, seems to our human eye like an artist, because human eye cannot perceive, it's so continuous, it's at an infinitesimal level. The graduation or the sequencing is so smooth and continuous that the human eye cannot see the difference. Perhaps it is not even visible because we can't see the cell, right? Even the cell. So at that nano level, at that micro level, we cannot see. But robot cannot do that because of some limitations. I don't know what limitations, but some physics limitations, some material science limitations. A robot cannot do that. So I think the simple insight here is that art is different from technique, or art is a technique which you have made differentiable and continuous. Another example to make this clear is when you think of effortless singing, right? So I think someone who is only focusing on technique, getting some technical knowledge from the gurus and just doing practice will look like rehearsed, but will not sound like Muhammad Rafi, because he has only focused on technique, but he has not embedded the technique so much, he has not practiced so much that technique has not become differentiable and continuous. So he's not sounding like an artist, he's not sounding like an effortless singer, which simply means that to have that technique, the technique should become continuous within each and every body part that is involved in that particular activity. So in singing, there are multiple body parts of your throat, your diaphragm, your chest, your head, your tongue, the way you open the muscles of the mouth. There are only sequence of activities that will need to be performed. So whoever has done that becomes like an effortless singer, becomes like an artist. So this is the point. Thank you.